This is Sean reporting, not really live because you're watching this later, from my wonderful kitchen once again. Welcome to this Monday's quarantine vlog, or whatever we're calling it. No one came up with a better name. So it is quarantine vlog now until someone comes up with something better. But how are you guys doing? I hope you guys are all doing all right. I know that things have gotten no easier. I mean, look, even from last Monday, look at how much has changed. Now you guys know you don't have school for the rest of this school year, which is crazy. Lots of things are changing. We're going to focus on the positive today as much as we can amongst all this. We're going to focus on trying to find some semblance of positivity into this. I wanted to pick another theme today. You know, I was kind of kicking around ideas for themes for this week, and you know, I was like, maybe I should do something around all this coronavirus stuff because it's all you're hearing, right? You open up your phone and get on social media and everything is something about coronavirus. How can we look at it and try to make it as positive as possible? You know, how can we find those silver linings, as hard as they're to find within all this craziness going on? So I'm going to be talking about, our reaction to the coronavirus today as Catholics once again, but I'm hoping this can give some help to you guys out there. And I know I need a lot of help right now too. So kind of doing these vlogs is also it's helping me just as much as I hope it's helping you, because it's giving me a chance to kind of look at this situation and try to find what is good in it. What I want to talk about today specifically is healing. And I'm going to get there in a minute. But what I want to talk about first, this kind of hits on this subject of healing that I wanted to talk about, is I don't know if you guys saw, but a couple of days ago, Pope Francis offered what he called, it was called an Urbi et Orbi, and I'm probably butchering that Latin pronunciation. But basically what it means is to the city of Rome and to the world. And it's a papal address that the Pope gives at times of great distress. So the Pope offered this Urbi et Orbi, this blessing, that basically was a reflection for him on the situation right now, and it was also a way to bless the faithful. I really encourage you guys to give this a watch. In fact, I'm going to put it down in the description, a link to it. Go watch it. It's an hour. It's long, but it is so worth it. It's beautiful. Maybe you've seen some photos from it, but Pope Francis walks up to this stage. It's alone in St. Peter's Square, and the whole place is empty. It's raining, and he's alone on this stage. And he delivers this address that was just so beautiful. And he talks about in this address finding serenity in the storm, how God is Jesus is the serenity in the storm. Kind of what I talked about last week. And I'm not going to go into it too much. Just go watch it. I think it's something that we really need right now. It was also about healing. And that's what I want to talk about today, this idea of healing. Now, yesterday's gospel, hopefully you watched Mass from home. Me and Catherine, we went out into our yard and watched Mass because it was finally a beautiful day. We went out into the yard and watched the Mass, and it was a really beautiful way to experience it. Yesterday's gospel was on the rising of Lazarus. Now, for those of you guys that don't remember that story or didn't hear the gospel yesterday, basically the nutshell of that story is Lazarus was a close friend of Mary and Martha, or he was a family member of Mary and Martha, who are close friends of Jesus. Lazarus dies, and Jesus isn't there for it. So they put him into a tomb for 3 days, kind of like Jesus. And Jesus finally appears on the fourth day. He comes to them, and they say, "Jesus, why weren't you here? You could have stopped this." And Jesus is heartbroken. He's lost his friend. And he goes to the tomb, and he basically says, "Lazarus, get up." Now, he doesn't resurrect him like he is resurrected, but he sort of wakes him up from death. He wakes him up, and Lazarus comes walking out of the tomb, healed. He's alive again, wearing all of his burial bandages still. What a beautiful idea of healing, right? This man who thought he was dead, he thought he had lost everything, his family who was mourning him, saying, "Jesus, why weren't you here?" He goes and pulls Lazarus from the tomb. He heals him. And in a way, he also heals Mary and Martha. Now, I'm going to get more into that, but I wanted to read to you guys a reflection that I read yesterday on this gospel. I think it's really beautiful. And this is from a woman who had cancer. So the title of this article is "The Shock of Freedom." I'm going to read it to you guys, then we'll kind of talk a little bit more about it. Between August 2016 and June 2017, I was treated for cancer with surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. I entered that time as if it were a pilgrimage, guided by the adage that the Camino means path, basically. The Camino gives you what you need, not what you want. Basically, the path gives you what you need, not what you want. Some days were good, some not so good, but overall, I did really well. So, though I had been told it was normal, I was surprised to feel mildly depressed after the final radiation treatment. I thought a lot about Lazarus during the months before I felt restored to life. What was it like for him to be dead and suddenly find himself alive? How did it feel to emerge from the tomb, his burial bands thrown aside, his face uncovered? He was naked as a newborn, all his senses on heightened alert. He must have smelled the stench Martha worried about. His eyes once again gazed at his loving sisters and his beloved friend, Jesus. Most people have experiences that hint at what Lazarus knew. Like me, it might have been cancer or another serious physical illness. People trapped in a cycle of addiction, treatment, and release know it. Their families know it even more. And anyone who has experienced the mercy of the confessional knows the shock of freedom that forgiveness bestows. Sometimes, in our panic and fear, we cry out like Mary did, "Lord, if you had been here." But Jesus is always with us, and he always acts for the glory of God. Sometimes when we want it, but always when we need it. I don't know about you guys, but what a beautiful reflection. What an important message to us, that we need to have hope. We need to be healed through this. We need to realize that Jesus is there sometimes when we want it, but always when we need it. And boy, do we need it right now. And Jesus is here. So why do I talk about healing today? Well, Lazarus, I think, was healed. And like that woman shared in her story, she was healed through this process of chemotherapy, but also through faith. She went down this path, this journey, and she was healed. How do we find healing now? Especially because we can't physically touch each other, right? I mean, we're literally asked to be 6 feet apart from each other and not be in groups of 5 or more. How do we heal somebody unless, we're a nurse or we're a doctor, we're in the medical profession, and we're out helping? How do we heal? We can feel a little powerless, that we're separated from others. What can we do? I was giving this a lot of thought yesterday after I went to Mass. I think that perhaps the core answer to this is we need to heal within the confines of what our lives are right now. If we can't go heal others, we can't go out and reach out to others and give them comfort, for I know a lot of us, even just giving somebody a hug is such a healing thing, and we can't even do that now. I think we have to look for it within the confines, within this box that our world has become. And I think that means really taking a step back. I talked last week about using this time to be kind of quiet, kind of disconnect from all these distractions we have, and who knows how long we're going to be stuck like this, and using this time to better ourselves, be quieter, pray. Maybe we can look at our lives and see, what relationships in my life have been hurting? What parts of my life are sick, are ill? What parts need that healing energy of God, of Jesus? How can Jesus kind of come into our lives and, much like Lazarus, wake us up? Because I think this is a perfect opportunity, despite all the horribleness that's going on, to wake up, to find ourselves healed. So I think for us what that can look like is, who are people in our lives who maybe we've had damaged relationships with? Who are people that we're holding on to hate and anger for? People that have maybe hurt us and we find it so hard to forgive them. Maybe we can use this time to reach out to those people. We can go out to them and say, hey, let's repair our relationship. Let's jump on Zoom, on the phone, let's text, whatever. How do we repair and let the past be the past and heal? That's a hard thing to do. But I think also what can be healing at this time is looking at what relationships in our lives do we take for granted. I look at my family. None of my family lives here in Albuquerque. My sister lives in Arizona. My parents live in Colorado. And I find myself, now that I'm so separated from other people, wanting to reach out and connect to them. To jump on Zoom. We have some Zoom calls scheduled later this week to try to really say oh man, being forced to be apart from you has made me really miss you and want to connect with you. So who are people in your lives that are like that? For a lot of you guys, you're stuck at home. You should be at home with your families. Maybe look at your siblings or your parents and say, man, I've been so caught up with school and sports and everything in my life, I haven't given time to you. How do I heal that relationship? How do I strengthen it? Or even your grandparents, maybe you don't call your grandparents enough, or other family members. Give them a call. You have all the time in the world right now. Why not use it for something positive and healing? But I think maybe we need to look at this time to say, how do we heal ourselves? What parts of myself are sick or fractured or broken? How can I address those in this time? If I have all this time on my hands, why not? I think that our lives can be so fast-paced, so just like a car barreling at top speed so much that we need to take a step back sometimes to slow down. I think that's why we all love going on retreats so much, is that going on a retreat forces us to slow down. Well, here you go. A month, 2 months, who knows how long retreat you're on. A chance to be quiet, to step back, heal ourselves and heal others. So whatever that looks like for you, think about that. How can I use this time for good, to heal? So I think our world is going to need a lot of healing after this. And if we haven't spent that time healing ourselves, how can we possibly heal others? So ask yourself that. Focus on that healing this time, fixing the fractures in ourselves and with others. And it's a great mission for us to do together, even if we can't be together. That's all I got for today. We're keeping the H's, I noticed. We got hope and healing, so maybe I'll find another H for next week. Remember, send me your themes. Actually, hey, next week is Holy Week, so another H. Boom, nailed it. So we'll probably do something with Holy Week next week. I know we normally have our really deep youth group during Holy Week. I'm going to so miss that, and I know you guys will too. So we'll do something special for next week. I'll figure out what that is. But love you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and go out there and heal yourself and others. Love you guys. Stay safe, and I hope to see you soon.